Okay, so the question is about fading in cross races. And I think a little bit of this is, we're almost done with the cross season. And so I don't know, if you're headed to nationals, then maybe you have a month or so to kind of get some work done on this. But I would also kind of want to dig in a little bit into your training data, because one of the things that jumps out to me is like fading in cross races is, sure, it could be a fitness issue, but sometimes it's more about, the start of the race. The first few laps are really kind of exciting. You're battling with people. Later in the race, things spread out a little bit. You're feeling tired. It's harder to stay focused. People can get a little bit bored. And so sometimes lap times start to creep up later in the races, or especially in the middle of the races. And then they'll kind of come back, the lap times will come back down a little bit later in the race. Just because you lose focus a little bit and kind of stop like digging for speed in the same way as early in the race, or late in the race when you kind of know that it's almost over. So I would want to look at your training data a little bit before I said for sure, okay, you need to do some workouts specifically around this. I'd be looking at your time to exhaustion, kind of how long you can hold threshold, and that can be something that you look at by like a long threshold effort, or by threshold intervals, kind of how long your total time at threshold is before you kind of start to fall apart. It's like stamina, resilience, repeatability, all these things kind of play a role. These are all terms that kind of represent this type of fitness and would be related to why you might fade in a cross race. If this isn't about focus, it really is about fitness. It generally comes back to aerobic conditioning. You might have really good anaerobic power, and so you can have a really strong start in your cross races, but your aerobic conditioning might be a little bit weaker. Sometimes we see this late in the season, even though you have a full season of racing, tons of base in you. It's like the aerobic conditioning starts to fall out from underneath when the focus is on super high intensity. That's pretty common for cyclocross because you're doing super high intensity races. You might be doing strictly anaerobic training, and then the aerobic conditioning can fall away. So, like longer threshold efforts, not a standard prescription for cross, but that's probably what I would want you to do. If you can currently do 2x20s, maybe you try 3x15. If you do 3x15s, try 4x12, just steady state. So again, it's not what you'd usually prescribe for cyclocross, but I think this is where you get that deeper fitness that will help you be consistent through a cross race. This also is something that, if you are at the end of your race season, this will likely organically just get a little bit better next year. You'll have another year of training in you. If you've heard the saying, all training is base training, that would apply here. It's like you'll have another year of endurance fitness in you, and that's going to result in likely a longer time to exhaustion, and kind of being more consistent through the entirety of a cross race. But, going back to my original question, if this is about staying focused and staying engaged over the course of a cross race, then, it's a little bit different, and you have to start to think about the mental aspect of racing and how you might get yourself to stay engaged. So I'd be thinking about trying to follow wheels, thinking about the lines that you're taking, how to make that really repeatable over the course of the race. So hopefully that helps, at least for you to start differentiating and asking yourself what might be causing this fade later in the race.